Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to the Kathie J Show. I am Kathie J, your host. It is so good to be hanging out with you today. So good to be back in your ears. I miss you just as much as you miss me. You know, you can always follow up and subscribe and like on the channel right here and be with us all the time. So today, you know, I was thinking about life and the things that a lot of us struggle with. And I think a lot of us struggle with change. And we get happy, we get somewhere, and then it's like, oh, now I have to change again because life is changing. Life's like a river that's always flowing. And so change is hard for a lot of us. And whether we get settled into it, whether it's our beliefs that don't want us to change, whatever it is, change really isn't good if you want to progress as a person. So today I brought in somebody that has helped me change immensely in my life, and a part of my life I never thought I'd change, which is my health. He's helped me change there, but he also helps people change professionally, personally, and he himself knows how to change. So that's why I brought him in today, because you're kind of here to help all of us. Everybody, please welcome to the show, Dr.JimHoven. Thank you for being here, Dr. Hoven.
Thank you, Kathie. Thank you.
Thank you. So I believe everything I said is true because I have seen you from experience, and you are in the business of helping people change personally. Like, you help them with their health. You have the hormone replacement therapy at FitMD that you can help with. You have helped people. You're a chiropractor. So you definitely believe in making sure that your body is fit and growing as we age. Change is also professional, and I've seen you help people change tons. You speak at so many seminars about not settling and about going for new things, and you're always educating yourself on new things. And so you're just a plethora of knowledge. Have you always been this guy?
Well, first of all, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to lead in so long.
No,
but
I didn't. I don't know that I would consider myself a plethora of change, but I will tell you.
Sorry, my phone, my watch. Sorry, Alexa. Yes.
Hey, she wants to tell me something too.
Yeah, she's got a lot to say.
She's got a lot to say on change. And when I was young, I had a lot of thoughts about things, but I was an only child. And so while I was very social with my group, I was very shy outside of my group. And I grew up in a home where my dad told me I could be anything, but I didn't. And my dad's passed away now. What I saw was I didn't necessarily want to be like him.
Okay.
Where he had, at one point in his life, an alcohol problem, and he was great at one point, and then he was mean when he would get to drinking.
Yeah.
And seeing all this, basically my life unfolded where I didn't have a lot of self-confidence. And the thing that really helped, I think, was being a decent athlete where, had some success in that realm. And so that helped me build some confidence. And then it was once I found personal development after I graduated from chiropractic school. I didn't think I would get into chiropractic school.
Okay, because why?
Because I didn't know if I was good enough. I actually had a teacher tell me I think it was the 11th grade, I had to take trigonometry to get into my requirements, enough math to apply for chiro school before going to, go to CSU and then go to chiro school. And he literally told me, Kathie, he said, Mr. Hoven, you want to be a doctor and you can't even get through this trig class. What are you thinking? And it literally put it on me that day where I was embarrassed because he said it in front of the class. This wasn't a me and him thing.
Okay, yeah,
this was in front of the class. And so this was at a Christian school where the values of all this.
Right. He shouldn't have been like that.
And I don't know what his intentions were behind it and if he meant it to hurt me, but it was very hurtful. And so that was a shot to myself where I was like, ooh, I don't know if I'm good enough. And so when I finally got into chiropractic school, that was great. But graduating, I didn't have any more books to read. I didn't have any more things to study to get my degree, to get my license, had my boards passed. And I ran into personal development through guys like Anthony Robbins, Jim Rohn, people in chiropractic that did the same thing like Sig Sigafus and John DeMartini. All these names, I started pouring the time that I was spending in learning to be a great chiropractor into now focusing into learning to be a great person because I figured I'm going to have a lot better business if I'm a great person and I'm going to get better results to combine with my clinical skills. So that's kind of where it started.
But I would say then that something was always in you because when the challenge was brought to you, when your teacher talked smack to you, a lot of people, when it happens to us, there's one of two ways you go. You either use it as empowerment or you don't go to chiropractic school. you kind of said you let it go in one ear and out the other, however he meant it to be. But so if something was always in you to keep fighting, like to get above water.
Yeah. Now that you say it like that, I think that's true. At the time, my personality is very passive by nature. And so I didn't see it as that way. Like, I'm going to show you. Like, there wasn't an aggressive thing. It was like, can I really do it? Am I good enough? Is this true? But then enough people believed, and I had just enough success. Like, I'm sure I didn't barnstorm anything to get in.
Right.
Like,
right.
Maybe it was a grace of God thing that I got in, but all I knew, I had to do enough to get in. And that was the mindset of whatever it takes to get in. That's what I got to do. Right.
And I think that's for so many of us. We're talking today with Dr.JimHoven. Dr. Hoven is one of the doctors that oversees the FitMD USA program. It is the program that I lost 60 pounds on. It does hormone replacement therapy, so many other things. Dr. Hoven, you talked about personal growth. So is that why you're so good at all this? Because you've been taught by the best? Because
in part, I take no credit for that. I stand on the shoulders of people that were amazing at what they did. In fact, when you think about FitMD, if it weren't for Dr. Joe Ramos, there is no FitMD.
Dr. Joe Ramos?
Yeah, you see the guy everywhere, doctor, lawyer, jet pilot, black belt. Like
How does he do it? I feel like, remember that movie, Michael Keaton, Multiplicity? It was an old school movie, but he couldn't be in more than one place at the same time. So he had himself cloned, and the clones got worse as the clones came out. Like the fourth clone
a carbon copy, right?
The fourth clone was not very good, but I don't know how Dr. Ramos, I always think there's got to be 12 of him out there.
It feels like it, but with all the productivity, he's a nicer human, and he'll take the time to share and to teach and to go through that. So everything I learned about hormone replacement therapy, he taught me everything, and he still oversees the clinic, and we have nurse practitioners who are amazing. And so my part in the clinic with helping, on the weight loss side and helping in the business development side and the growth, again, I'm just a pass through of information and one of the things that I never want to stop being is a learner. There's 4 things that I want to always be focusing my time on. And so one is teaching, one is learning, one is sharing. So, teaching, sharing, just a little bit different. And one is growing. And so learning and growing kind of go together. Teaching and sharing kind of go together. And so whether I'm doing that from reading or podcasts or experiences or whatever, do you know a personal brand? Have you ever heard of personal brand?
No, just the fact that we all need our personal brand.
Yes, and we all use it differently,
yes,
right?
We all do,
so
right.
There was a guy named Darren Hardy who was one of those types of mentors, like an Anthony Robbins, where I never met him or anything, but I studied a lot of his information. He talked about this thing, personal brand. And I'm like, personal brand? He said, take what you want to be, who you want to be, because everyone thinks of you as something.
Yes, we've all been labeled.
We're all labeled. And so the only question is, do you want to have control of that label?
Yes.
Or do you want it to just be by default? And I said, I want to have control of that. So he said, well, pick what the theme is, write it out, and then keep boiling it down till you can get it into 3 words or less, preferably 1 word or 2 words. And so after going through that exercise, mine came out to be positive impact. And so I had a little logo made for it and, just something that I keep in front of me so I can see my job is to every situation, circumstance, event, anything I'm in, I want the people around it or the event or the environment or whatever to be better after I'm involved than before.
And you do that. And I just like to say you do that, but you actually make a conscious effort to do that. When I'm around people, thank goodness I just have a good light, and people say after I've left, they feel good.
Absolutely.
You, I feel, are actually always trying to be better and make sure that every movement that you make helps someone, that everything you say, I still feel like I'm part of the civilians over here that are like happy to be here and hoping that change finds me, and maybe I'll try to dedicate myself to something. But change is hard. But what you said in there was, I think, the key. Is that where we start, whether it's professional, personal, whatever, we start with what we want to change? You said it just a minute ago. You write down who you want to be.
Yes.
Or like, I'm sick of every time my brother comes around, because a lot of us, let's just talk maybe personally, a person, whether it's a coworker, a family friend, we all have somebody in our life when they come around, we don't feel good. It makes us change, and so how do you start to implement change of getting those toxic people out of your lives? Because that's something that is stress in your life that makes you hurt. So how do you start to put those walls up to release those people or guilt that you might, like change with people is huge.
Right.
We all get dragged down by anchors of people that are sucking us dry emotionally or sucking us dry financially, and we need to cut them off. What is the best advice you have for change there?
Well, here would be my first thought. If we look at it from an expansive way, instead of in the situation, if we take ourselves back, there are some times that we're not going to have a choice. You go to a party or you're doing one of your events, right?
Yeah, right.
There are people that are going to be there that you're going to have to deal with.
Yes. Oh, God, so-and-so's here.
Yes, here we go.
Right, here we go.
And so then it's a matter of how do I put myself in the frame of mind to say, maybe this person is doing the best they can. Maybe they don't have the tools to act like I think they should act. Or do I need to check myself because maybe what I really don't like in them is something that I see in me in a mirror. So that's all the esoteric stuff, right?
Okay, so you go through the thoughts of it. Okay, about why don't I like them? What is it about them that bothers me? So you say analyze everything about the emotions you're feeling first about them. Okay.
Yeah, because if we can detach from the emotion, if we can say, hey, this is just a situation, I don't have to feel and own that stuff.
Yes.
And so knowing that there are some relationships that I learned this term from a book by Jerry Nestor Hicks, and it's called universal physics. And essentially it comes down to if you and I are in a relationship, which we are, right? We hang out, we talk, we do our thing. If I'm energetically way below you, so you're really focusing on positivity and growth and sharing, and I'm really focused on negativity and hatred and all those other things, emotionally on a scale, those are very far apart frequencies.
Absolutely.
And if we're in enough situations together like that and we're in a close relationship, universal physics will break that apart.
Okay.
It can't stay together. It just doesn't work. Or both people are very, very unhappy. Mm-hmm. So whether it's a husband, wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, any kind of relationship like that, or coworkers or anything, we have to own and understand that part of it and say, who am I, and where am I on that scale? Now, on the other side, when you can control who you're with, like another example with my dad, like I was just telling you, I loved my dad, especially as I got older.
Yes.
And you know when I started to love him a lot more? When I was not pissed off about who he was and how he acted.
Isn't that funny?
When I just said, I got to let him be him. I'm not going to change him. And I still even tried later, and here's an example. He didn't know if he wanted to be buried or cremated when he died.
Okay.
We talked about it in every conversation we had, everyone, for 3 years.
Oh my gosh.
He had to bring it up. He couldn't help it.
Because he knew the answer, or he wanted to talk out the options?
There was two options. How long do you got to talk about it?
Well, because you got to talk about, if I'm going to come back as a vampire, Dr. Hoven, that means I need to be buried for 3 days at least before I come. I mean, I'm just saying, who knows what he thought?
It would make me crazy, Kathie, crazy. And so at first I was resisting. And I'm like, we have talked about this 100 times. I'm sick of it. Just pick one. I don't give a crap which one it is. Just pick it and I'll support you. I said, because it doesn't matter to me. Well, Jim, do I want to be, here's what he said. Do I want to be burned or eaten by worms? Which do I want? I'm like, you're not going to be either. You're going to be gone. And that case, so then he was raised, in the religious theories of that time that said, Christian folks, the rapture is going to happen and then your body's going to be taken up. So what happens if you're all burnt? I said, Pop, what if you're in a building that gets blown up or you're fire? You're
what
ash
happens to
anyways.
Those people? That's a good point.
Those are good Christians. I said, stop it. So here's what we said. Whatever you want to do, we'll support you. And when I let him just talk to me and not judge his whatever he was doing, it just made things so much easier. I'm like, I don't know, Pop. Then I got soft. And when I got soft, when it was me, then all of a sudden, I didn't have to get him out of my life.
Okay.
Right? I didn't have to say, I can't deal with his energy, because then I just let him have his energy. I just knew how much I could deal with. So it's not like I wanted to go see every day and spend days and days and days with him.
You have a shelf life still of time with him. Okay.
Yeah. And that's, again, I loved him with all my heart. I still love him.
Okay.
But so any relationship as we see it, from my perspective anyway, if we can know what we bring to it, know our part in it, and then know how much we can tolerate of that, then just let it go.
I think that's solid advice, because I'm the one, after people are too toxic, I'll just cut them, because I'm just like, I'm done. Like, I can't, you're just, and I've been okay at it.
Yeah.
There's only a couple people I miss that I shouldn't have cut. But I think about our parents and stuff, and you can't cut them. So the easiest way to try to like put a mirror up or a boundary to say, you could say whatever you want to me and label me, but I'm just not taking it with me when I leave your house.
Yes.
I'm not
and
taking
sharing how
that
you
stress
feel,
with
being
you.
truth,
right?
Saying your truth, but at the same time giving yourself the truth of, hey, you know what? This is who they are.
Right. Or jerk coworkers. How many people are like, they sit outside of their, like I have a girlfriend that literally sits outside of her job, Dr. Hoven, and takes like deep rests for 10 minutes before she goes in because of her boss. And it's just, and so many people out there are like that, so advice to help them try to change that relationship or that stress is awesome. And if all else fails, I say you get rid of them.
Absolutely. And listen, right now is the best time to be in the job market. If you are not good, if you can't change an upward position from someone, like you're whatever below them or whatever in the hierarchy and pecking order, if you can't establish a relationship for them that works, then you know what? Now is the time to go find something.
Go around.
This is what I tell people especially in the Ramos Law side, where we have 130 employees. I just did 2 interviews yesterday, and I said, listen, when you come here, I want you to think of your favorite dish. What's your favorite dish? And this woman yesterday says, whatever, it was some kind of cool dish. I'll call it pizza. Okay, because that's a cool dish.
I was just going to say pizza.
Yeah.
You're going to hit home with everybody.
So I said, when you come here, you bring your spices, you bring your stuff to our pizza. And
to make it better. Yes.
And when someone leaves, they take their spices. But I got news for you. We serve pizza here. We don't serve chicken. So nothing wrong with chicken.
Yeah.
But if you're going to be here and chicken is your thing and you bring chicken, you won't be here long.
Right.
Because we have to have our culture protected
this
at
is
all
how
costs.
Right. You're exactly right. In the Ramos Law culture, what you guys have created over there is amazing. Everyone is happy. It's very supportive. It's almost like a Google kind of feel. Like it's like a great feeling. But you guys also work personally and help all of the employees, which I just think is great. So professionally, you just brought it up. You hit the ceiling. I always learned that, you have to literally get silent and say, who do I want to be? What do I want to do? Why am I so sad? Because usually I have found, Dr. Hoven, that the stuff that keeps us up at 2 a.m. is the stuff you have to deal with.
That's so good.
The stuff that's, guess what? You're awake at 2 a.m. because your head is saying, or the universe or God is saying, it's time.
Yes.
We're not going to let this we're not going to let this hang over our heads anymore. Mm-hmm. The person, the job, whatever it is. The biggest one that I think is hardest to change are habits, addictions, the way we think. Because that's been institutionalized. Most of the time, those are our beliefs that we've been brought up with that we're trying to change. My mother wasn't the best with teaching me how to eat, so I'm trying to relearn that through you and teach it to my kids. So much addictions that we all have. How do you have any advice to try to really that people can say? Dr. Hoven said 3 steps: identify, recognize. Is there something like that people can hold on to when they're talking in their head, trying to go through change?
So first thing, really important to identify the term addiction versus a true addiction.
Okay.
Like if we're talking that we can be addicted to anything, right?
Right.
It could be from TV,
iPads.
Yeah. TV,
right.
technology, food, drugs, sex. Addictions come in all forms, but being truly physiologically, mentally, emotionally addicted.
Yes. Meaning if you don't have that product,
you don't have control.
Withdrawing.
That's right.
Okay,
If you can't control the use and the way that it goes of whatever the thing is, then seek professional help.
Right.
Like literally don't try to handle that on your own, because the mental health becomes as much of a challenge as anything. I was talking to a young man, and he was a family member, and I didn't understand this when I was a young guy, because I've never drank. Right?
Yeah.
Not that I haven't ever had a drink, but I've never ever been a drinker.
Right.
And never been into drugs. It's just not my thing.
Uh-huh.
It was always about athletics and always about building something and whatever.
Right. No.
And so when he
that's good stuff.
So when this young guy tells me, he goes, he had been to rehab twice, and I'm like, I don't get it. Just don't put the thing in your pie hole, and you won't have a problem. Like that was my stubborn, unyielding, just not right thinking. And he said, Jim, you don't understand. For me, if I don't take this drug, it's like you not being able to get air. I'm that connected to it. I need help. I'm not going to make it. Literally, I'm going to die if I don't get help from this, because that's how bad I am. And this was after 2 failed rehabs. And so I just tried to then back away, like we talked about, put myself in that situation, say, okay, maybe he's doing the best he can. Maybe he doesn't have the tools. And it helped me to understand that getting professional help, whether that's going to a rehab center, which is what he did, and then a different type of center where they took a lot longer, it was a 9-month program versus a 30-day program. All of these things made the difference. So true addiction, people should get help. Now, if it's something that bad habits, there's a book called The Greatest Salesman in the World by Og Mandino. It's written many, many decades ago. And a friend of mine told me it was one of his most treasured books. So I said, can I read it? And he lent me his copy. And this thing has 10 lessons in it about how to become the greatest salesman in the world. And the very first one says, I'll never forget it. We are all slaves to our habits. So the question we got to ask ourselves is, what habits do we want to be slaves to?
Well, right.
You want to be slave to working out?
Yes.
Or you want to be slave to,
sitting at home,
drinking pop or whatever. So first, self-awareness. So if I had to give 3 steps, the first step for changing any habit is self-awareness. Okay. Where are you really at this? The second is to determine exactly where you want to be, because there's a gap, right? If you truly want to change something, if I want to, and since we're talking about health a lot, if I wanted to be able to run a 5K, and right now I can't, I couldn't walk a 5K. No, I'm not saying I couldn't. I'm saying for someone who couldn't walk a 5K, I would have to say, why am I like this? Become self-aware. What is happening? Then say, what do I want? What are we talking about here? I want to do a 5K. It would give me this, that, and the other.
The goal to look at.
So what's the gap? And the why? Okay, if I get a 5K, then what? Just because it shows I could do it, it'll show that I'm healthier.
Right.
It
shows that I'm sober.
Whatever.
It shows that
So we have to find those reasons and then find the gap. Why aren't I doing this now? Do I not have the knowledge? Do I not have the skills?
Right.
Do I need more direction? Do I need more accountability?
Am I lazy?
Am I lazy?
Right.
Being truthful with the questions, answering them, and then and then the next step is to get an action plan and just execute. It's that simple.
Okay, I agree. But when you're executing the action plan, it's because it's not something that I'm used to focusing on every day, most of my life. When I execute the action plan, it's hard to keep it in my head all day to keep me focused on the right habit versus the bad habit.
Yes.
So, I've written things on my fingers. I've taught, whatever to remind myself, because my habit is the eating, and we all have to eat to survive. Mm-hmm. So that's where I have the problem is it's just a habit to be throwing things in. You have taught me definitely how to keep your metabolism going in the healthy way that our bodies activate and work. But at the end of the day, I need you during the day when I'm losing it.
Mm-hmm. And that's the accountability piece.
Oh,
right?
there! Dang it! I was hoping you'd have something easier than accountability.
How was Danielle with your accountability?
Oh, she's mean,
right?
I mean, because she holds me accountable, and it goes back to integrity.
Yes,
I have integrity
love.
for you. I would show up anywhere you needed me to, but if it was for me, I'm not showing up. And so that's something that I've had to look at myself. We will always give for everybody else, but never ourselves.
Yes.
So I'm trying to deal with that myself. But during the day, when you see that, I'm getting off of work, it's time for me to go have a drink, or whatever we are all, an addiction or bad habits of now I'm going to go and, sit on the couch tonight instead of work out. I just always wish for what is it that we all hold on to that makes us change for the better.
Because we get something from that. Remember, even when people are continually what we would call idiot, they're getting something from it.
Yeah.
Right? I was just driving down here and I was listening to Sports Talk Radio, and this guy D-Mac, who you know.
We know D-Mac.
He called such and such, one of the producers in the show, and he goes, "Hey," what are you wearing? What are you wearing right now? He goes, "I'm wearing a Suns jersey." Now, at
you
the
can't
time
be wearing
of our
a Suns jersey. Tonight's the Nuggets game.
5.
Right.
And he said, "Why are you doing that? You grew up in Denver, right?" He goes, "Yeah." He said, "Why are you wearing a Suns jersey?" He goes, "Well, number one, I'm a Suns guy, but number two, I knew it was going to bug everybody in here." Right? So he's being that guy.
I hate those people.
Right? He's being that guy. And so at the end of the day, when we're becoming self-aware of why we do what we do, there's no question that after education, like if you don't know candy's bad for you, then there's no problem with eating candy in your mind.
Right.
But once you know that candy's bad for you, or McDonald's or whatever.
Or drugs or porn or whatever it is,
once
you know,
then it's the emotional connection because you're getting something from it.
Yeah.
Like I know I still love to eat junk food, and I know better. I teach better. But when that car just feels, and you and I have talked about this before, car feels like it wants to auto turn into an Arby's.
It sure does.
Or a KFC or
Why'd you say
blank.
Arby's? I love Arby's.
Me too.
I worked there in high school. That was my first job
Come
ever.
on.
Yeah, that was my first. Isn't that great? At 15,
If I would have known, I'd have been coming to that Arby's and getting hooked
104th
up.
and 100 or 120th in Colorado, right there.
Yeah,
I would have hooked you up 5 for 5.
I love that. Best deal ever.
Best deal
no
ever.
No longer. So if it's about going into there, you have to make a decision. At some point, that car is getting closer. Your mind is saying, I shouldn't do it. I want to. I shouldn't. I want to. And it's the devil and the angel on the shoulders. And so until our why is strong enough, we're always going to go with our strong enough why I should pull in or why I shouldn't pull in. So having that why deeply ingrained is one thing. But here's the other thing, and Anthony Robbins taught me this, is if you put yourself on a lever to get leverage, where do you put the leverage? Some people will respond to the carrot, meaning if I don't have Arby's, then I'm going to be able to pat myself on the back and go eat broccoli. What?
Yeah.
Unless you love broccoli, that sucks, right? The carrot's bad.
Right.
But on the other side, if you say, okay, Arby's today, and I've already had 1,000 of these in the past, I'm sure my arteries are almost clogged, and that's going to mean me at the very least having a heart issue that could shorten my life. I might not be able to see my kids grow up. When you start putting the leverage of the stick, carrot in the stick, right? The carrot draws in the horse and the stick punishes the horse. A lot of people are more moved by the stick than the carrot. So when you leverage yourself, as you get closer to the Arby's parking lot, what's this going to do? What's this going to mean? What's this going to bring? And you intentionally put the bad stuff in there. Now, if you're going to turn in there, you're overcoming all that. So you really want it. Doesn't mean it's the right choice.
Right.
But you consciously took control. And it's just like going by the candy shop or whatever. It's
or
all the
not
same.
going to work out when you know you need to, whatever it is.
Or turning on, like you said earlier, turning on the porn or not going to visit your family. Anything that you're doing that you know that you should be doing to have the life you want to have, carrot and stick.
Yes. And I'm so glad you just said carrot and stick or life you want to have, because we all want a different life, or one that's better, or one that, my kids aren't doing right. Or, I wish I, connected more with my husband. There's so many things that we all would love to change in our life, or, and because it's not changing, the stress stays in us and it keeps building and building and building. So I just wanted people out there to know that you're never too old to change. And whatever's happening to you, whatever it is that you feel you need to change, you probably do.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. and listen, I'm 55 and I never thought I figured I'd get to 55, but it happened so much faster than I thought.
It happens so fast.
So fast. I remember I was the youngest in my chiropractic class, maybe the second youngest out of 120 students. I was the youngest doctor, started at 24. I had to get glasses with fake glass in them so that I could look a little bit older.
Oh my God, right.
And so I was always the youngest. And so trying to prove myself and trying to grow something amazing. Now I see generations of chiropractors, at least one going into the second generation that are now coming in, filling the space. And as I watch those people, I'm still wanting to be better. And the funny thing now, I'm not wanting to be better than them.
No.
There was a time I wanted to be the best chiropractor on the planet because, right? And a lot of that was probably ego-based and that kind of thing.
And youth and where's my future going?
Yeah.
And absolutely.
And now, I still train every day, right? Exercise. I train every day unless I decide not to. But I don't guilt myself. I track what I'm training. I know how many sets of this I'm doing, what I'm doing for that. But it's now for different reasons. Now I'm trying to say, okay, for longevity, the research shows that you should have at least 10 sets of this at this percentage of your target heart rate, blah, blah, blah. Now that's what I'm tracking for a different reason. Now it's an internal game.
Yeah.
And now learning to be happy with, I don't have to try to build a mega fortune. When I was 22, before I graduated at the ripe old age of 24, I said, I want to be able to retire when I'm 35. How stupid.
Wow, that was a good goal.
How stupid,
Did you make that?
No. But that said, I feel like now I'm just getting started to be able to give and to grow. I see things from a different perspective now, and to speak to this change. Now the legacy I leave by leading the people at the law firm, working with the team at FitMD, working with our patients, working with the providers. If I can help them get better, that's my legacy.
Yes, it is.
Right? And that's what it's all about now, and learning to be happy where I am. So instead of saying, I need a bigger house, I need a new car, I need this, I need now it's about saying, I want to have a good life, and good life comes in many forms, and it's not settling. Like we should never settle for what we truly, truly, truly want, but appreciating what I have and say, I have a damn good life.
Yeah.
So I don't always have to chase and burn up the time that I could be just having a rich, fulfilling day, week, month, and year.
People they never recognize that they're living a good life, that they need to just stop looking around them and look what's right next to them. And I totally agree with that. What chapter do you feel like you are in at your life right now? The chapter of giving, of teaching, because you teach me, I teach my kids. It is a chain reaction. All from Dr. Hoven.
Well, it's
all right, Dr. Hoven, Dr. Ramos. Yes. I'll give you right. We'll tag team it.
And Danielle and all the team,
so many teachers.
Joanne and Jen, all that in that realm. I think what a great question. I've never been asked that. If I were to answer honestly, the chapter of the life I'm in right now is I still want to do some accumulation. It's not all about giving. I'm not like a Rockefeller that said, I'm going to spend the first half of my life building my fortune, the second half giving it away.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was Rockefeller or Carnegie. I think it was Carnegie.
Yes.
It was Carnegie. So I'm not in that phase by any means. So I'm still wanting to protect my future and build a legacy to leave onto my family financially. So I'm still in the let's grow mode. I'm not in autopilot in my career, but I am certainly more about saying, the people that I work with personally, there's a group of them at the law firm where part of my job is because they're people that can move the needle for the whole business, part of my job is to work with them one-on-one every 2 weeks to make sure. That's the high point of my job. Yeah. Right?
People get one-on-ones with you at Ramos Law?
Yes.
That's not fair. That's worth it. That's worth it for me just to go get a job there. You mean they get a counseling session like what we're doing right now with you?
Yes.
This is amazing.
Yeah.
When can I schedule mine?
Hey, you have a standing.
I can call
you're
you
a guest anytime, and you and I will talk because I learned from you too. I learned how I've never seen anybody, and I mean this with all sincerity, that can go into a group of people that you may not know any of them, and you can connect with them so deeply, so fast.
I love people.
Remember when we went to the deal at the
to the
Christmas,
church,
church,
yes.
Watching all those people come around you that they were all your best friends in 2 seconds, and I was like, I've never seen anything like. I told everybody, like I learned from you. I want to be like that, and I want to make people feel the way that you make them feel.
See, that's why I said earlier, it's the light I have. I just need to figure out how to turn it into something. Because
I'd say you've turned it into a lot.
I guess I guess you just share the light is the purpose of the light. Before I let you go, I want to talk about one more time about life and the chapters in our lives. When things happen in life, so many people want to carry that like a badge of guilt, or they like whether they messed up once or whatever. I really want to get the message out there that you should be willing to pivot and you should be willing to move. And wherever the universe pushes you, don't be scared to go those directions, right? I mean, if you felt it your whole life, decisions being made for you that were like, you should meet this person.
Yes. Right. Here's what I always know, and I'm so glad you brought that up. What I've found for me, if I do my part, the universe, God, fate,
spirit, whatever you have, yes,
it's going to open the next step. I can't always see down the road. And what a tragedy for those people and there are some of these people that are wired like this and they work great. I want to do this by this time.
Yeah.
And I'm all about goal setting. I'm huge with goal setting. But what I've learned, and this was from a book from a guy named Deepak Chopra that
I love it. I've read,
deeply impacted me, called the law of detachment. And essentially, if I say, here's my intention, my goal, my dream, I never let that go. Right? So let's just say, I want to take a vacation to Hawaii. Instead of saying, I want to take it in 1 year, which a lot of goal programs teach, what about if you said, I want to take that trip to Hawaii at the perfect time? And so what do? Then we start saying, well, what does a trip to Hawaii cost? And what does it look like? And how do we work through all the steps? And when you see those steps unfold one or another, and you take that step, then the next step takes into play. Because guess what? You might be able to get there in 6 months.
Yes.
But if you don't get there in a year, are you a failure? Absolutely not.
No.
So being willing to detach, to know where the end goal is and what your dream is, and then just doing your part, and the next thing takes place. You know what I thought my final job in life was going to be?
What?
Was going to be adjusting someone like you in my awesome clinic, and I would give you an adjustment. You would feel better. You would walk out, and I would drop dead because I had fulfilled my mission. I quit counting adjustments.
I'm so glad you don't think that way anymore.
No. I quit counting adjustments at 100,000. That's where I said, I don't need to count anymore.
Wow.
Right? I don't need to count
You've
anymore.
adjusted 100,000 people?
Way more. That was in the first 10 years was 100,000. And so at the end of that time, I never thought that I wouldn't be in chiropractic. And then I became part of a chiropractic franchise, and it was consulting, and it was this and that, and opened a gym, and ended up at Ramos Law and in FitMD because I did my part of saying I want to have positive impact. It was always about helping people, and as long as I keep growing, I don't know that I'll be here forever. I don't know. If I am, I'm super happy just how it is, but if something else comes along that meets my ability to serve and to grow and to learn and to prosper, that's what I'll do. But I'm always open to the next thing by doing my part.
That is awesome. When you say do your part, what do you mean? You're allowing yourself to be molded, to be pliable? Like, what are you saying? You're doing your part.
I'm not sitting on the couch waiting.
Okay.
Right? It's like, hey, if I'm going to have enough energy to do what I want to do, I got to be in shape. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. So what's not on the chopping block, I never sacrifice. So workouts, making sure that I'm connected with Shauna, telling her I love her.
Shauna's his amazing wife, by the way.
She's my amazing wife. With my pets, with my kids, sharing love, making sure that I'm doing the things that I know give me a good life, and I'm relentless about those things. Relentless. And as long as I do that, and I know what direction I'm going, doing my part, if I need to learn a new language or whatever, I'm going to learn it. And then whatever comes of that, comes of it. You know what I mean?
Right, but so many of us go, I want to learn a new language. I would love that, but I don't have the time. And so you're saying if it becomes a priority for you, then you mold yourself to pivot and make it happen. Yeah.
People will always tell you their priorities. You want to know what their priorities are? Look at their calendar and look at their checkbook.
Where
they spend their time and money. That's where your priorities are in real life.
Oh my God, Dr. Hoven, I got called out by a moneymaker, and she goes, I can tell you exactly what you care about, Kathie. Show me your checkbook. And I was like, and she just looked at my statements, and she was like, you care about 7-Eleven Slurpees.
Back in the old days.
And you care, and she was like, and you care about, I went to Target a lot. But but you're right. If you want to get an outside fishbowl look at your life, look at what you're spending your money on. And absolutely.
How much time and money are you spending on bettering yourself, on giving to charity, on making people better? How much time and energy are you doing?
Because we're here for a bigger purpose. We are all here for such a bigger destiny. And we all have parents that maybe had institutional beliefs where you'll never hit that ceiling, or you need to find a 9-to-5 and try to be that person the rest of your life. And that's not who so many of us are. We feel more. We want more. And so listen to those voices. And don't be scared to go for him, because you could be like Dr. Hoven, who's sitting here in front of me, 55, and he's the healthiest man in the room. I got 20-year-olds here, for God's sake, and you're healthier than all of us. So thank you, Dr. Hoven, for being here. Thank you.
Such a pleasure. This was what an honor. And just talking about life stuff with you makes me super happy. Thank you.
Yeah, well, this show is about pivoting as well.
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is. So thank you. And to everybody else out there, you can find Dr. Hoven. He is with FitMD USA. So fitmdusa.com is where you can find him. But they do everything from hormone replacement therapy. And if I had 2 minutes with you real fast, Dr. Hoven, when doctors say hormone replacement therapy is not good, well, what do you say to that?
It's so funny. I just listened to a whole podcast on this.
Of course you did.
Literally yesterday.
He's always learning.
Literally yesterday. And hormone replacement therapy is different things, where there's synthetic and bioidentical. Bioidentical hormones put into the right situation after checking and understanding the blood work. Is it right for the person? And then not what we call supra-optimizing, but keeping them in a certain range. This is about making sure you're only in the right spot with these hormones to keep you working right. So it's not for everybody, but if it's right for you, it's amazing.
It's amazing. I got to tell you, you've put me on some stuff, and estrogen, testosterone, I feel all of it changing me so much. So thank you so much, Dr. Hoven. Everybody have a great day. Thank you for liking and subscribing the page, and there'll be another one coming soon. Kathie J. Ramos Law is an official partner of the Kathie J Show. He's a medical doctor and a lawyer. Ramos Law. What makes us different makes us better.